Welcome back to another week of Instigating with Clarkey and Drury with our new friends at Conway Furniture on the east end of Listowel. For all your furniture needs, go see our friends at Conway. We're on Team Conway now, ladies and gentlemen. We're, of course, still supported by our great friends at Larry Hudson Chevrolet Buick GMC and the Listowel Squash Courts. Got a great show this week. There's so much to touch on. There's craziness going on in Columbus. The Blue Jays stink. And we're going to talk about some NFL later. But right now, huge event coming up in Listowel this weekend. The Listowel Cyclones are going to kick off their home opener on Saturday against the Stratford Warriors, celebrating 50 years of Cyclones hockey. And who better to have on than a Listowel Cyclones legend and a returnee to the Cyclones organization this year, our buddy Holdyn Lansink. Lanny, how are you, my friend? Exciting times.
Hey, cheers, Ryan. Thanks for having me on, man. Doing well.
So obviously, like I mentioned, 50 years of Cyclones hockey, man. It is an incredible accomplishment for a team like this. And I don't know if we're the smallest center in the GOJHL, certainly one of them if we're not. But the 50 years of love and passion that this community has shown the Cyclones, we're going to celebrate it on Saturday. Of course, the game will be on CKNX. And Lanny, you were a great player. Some would say the best. I would say the best Cyclone of all time. Did a lot of winning. And you spent the last couple of years on the bench with the Mitchell Hawks. You've returned home. You're going to be on the bench for the Cyclones this year. How special is that for you, man?
Oh, it's super special. I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity that these guys have provided me with. There's a ton of excitement around this town. Like you said, tons of buzz for this weekend. We go into Stratford for a big one on Friday night and then come home Saturday for the 50th anniversary, which is going to be super exciting to see a lot of familiar faces. So
we were chatting, our buddy Steve Sabrin was chatting with Steve McNeven, and there's a lot going on Saturday. It's not just about puck drop at 7:30, which, again, you can tune into on CKNX and CKNX.ca. There's going to be stuff going on all afternoon. 4 o'clock, it's going to open up. There are alumni games at 4 and 5:30. There's going to be a bunch of team memorabilia and photos and jerseys up in the Blue Line Club starting at 4. It's going to be incredible. I mentioned alumni games. I got to ask. You putting the skates on, man? You going to play?
Yeah. We'll see. There's apparently the older alumni are playing in the first game, so I might go for a spin with those boys, get ready for the game Saturday night. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing all those guys. Definitely pop my head in the room for that second game and see the younger guys as well. But yeah, no, I think everyone's just super pumped to see all the volunteers. One thing that remains true in this town, doesn't matter if the team's winning or losing, it's the community support and the billets and, you know, all the memories and stories that come with every year. So I'm super pumped.
We've talked to you a lot, you know, over the years about obviously the great run of winning that your group went on, of course, under Jason Brooks, Jesse Cole, who, of course, you're going to serve under him as assistant coach now as he takes on head coaching duties full time. That's going to be his focus this year. And Trent McClellan is going to step permanently into the GM role. And, you know, I had a really lengthy chat with Trent for our season preview article. And he thinks that, you know, kind of splitting the roles up and allowing Jesse to just excel as a coach, which he's great at, and for Trent to handle player personnel is going to be a real benefit to the team this year. As you step into the fold and come in as a coach now, you know, what are your feelings on how camp's gone so far and the team that you guys have? Because it's a pretty competitive looking roster this year, Holdyn.
Yeah, I mean, last year Luke helped out a little bit, but Luke was a head coach. Louis and I and Kenny and Mitchell, you know, Louis was really good for letting his assistant coaches bring ideas to the table. And so we have 3 big personalities on our bench this year, I think. But so far, it's been really good. We've delegated the responsibilities as far as power play, penalty kill, some drills here and there. yeah, the guys are really buying in. There's some excitement in the room I can feel. Just trying to get them to play a little bit more confident. It's a special group, but all the talk and excitement is just words, right? They have to go out and prove it this weekend and every week. So yeah, practice has been sharp. Last night was really, really good. That's all we can ask them, one day at a time. So.
Dude, you played with a lot of great players. You were a great player yourself. I mean, those Cyclones teams you were on were so deep. We always kind of joked, your third line could have been a first line on most other teams in the league. Yeah. I'm starting to kind of see something similar shaping up with the roster this year. I think you guys have a really, really deep offensive core here. Luke Uhrig coming into the fold to play with his little brother. Obviously, 2 years in a row now, the Cyclones have signed the reigning Junior C Rookie of the Year last year, Alex McGillivray, who scored 17 goals as a kid in the league. This year, Harrison Muhlenstein comes into the fold. What have you seen out of those two young guys? Because they play a position similar to where you played, and I think they both kind of have similar skill sets to the way you used to play and Herf and all those great legends of Cyclones lore. What are you seeing out of those two guys? Because they're going to be key pieces for you, Holdyn.
Yeah, massive pieces. Gilly's really taken a big step. I just watched the Sykes a little bit last year, but I can see the confidence in his game to start camp. Muley will be a big piece. He's going to figure out how Junior B works, and he'll get his feet going. Szymanowski's another really, really kid that we're high on. He's been really good in camp so far, and I think he's going to have a special year too. So, like you said, our fourth and third line, is just as good as our second and first this year. It's a good problem to have. It's tough that not all these skilled players can be on the power play and penalty kill. I remember my years, it was, guys like Mitch Dealstrad getting skimped out on power play time. He just shut his mouth and went to work. And you know what? When you win, you get noticed. It's a tough thing to drive into these kids' heads, but if everyone buys in, I think we can do special things this year. And like I said, the best way to get to the next level is winning. So hopefully we can drive that home with them.
Some really good defensive returnees too. I talked about that with Trent in depth. You can find that article, of course, on CKNX, and you can actually listen to the full interview. Trent loves to chat about hockey. He was on with me for over a half hour. You can actually find that on our Instigating YouTube channel as well if you want to listen to that in full. Obviously, a big headline move as well in net, and Dixon Grimes coming back into the fold, a guy you're, of course, very familiar with, and Cyclones fans are familiar with, and he's come back from a CHL journey that he earned, and I loved seeing him in Guelph and having that opportunity to go out into the queue and have a great experience. I said to Trent, I think it says everything you need to know about this Cyclones program and what it is that makes it special and why it's hit 50 years with many more to come, that a guy like Dixon wants to come back in his last year of junior eligibility to come and play here. Like, that kind of says it all, doesn't it, Holdyn?
Absolutely. Whether you're 16 or 20, we want to develop you here. We'd love to get Dixon to a CIS program next year if that's what he aspires to do. But yeah, he's going to give us a chance to win every single night. Artsy's another one, or the other goalie, Riley Arts. He's come into camp. He wasn't guaranteed a spot. He just worked his balls off, pardon me for lack of a better term, and earned himself a spot. And that kid's really impressed me so far this year. So, and yeah, like you said, Dix, with his experience, he's going to give us a chance to win every single night. So,
yeah, I like your goaltending, man, and you need two of them. You need two of them in this league. You know that from when you won back in the day, and I'm really excited to see what this Cyclones group can do this year. Before I let you go, and obviously everybody, if you see and hear this before Saturday, get down to the Steve Kerr Memorial. It's going to be an incredible day. Cyclones alumni from all throughout the years. It's going to be great memorabilia displays. It's going to be an awesome night taking on the Stratford Warriors at 7:30. Again, you can hear it on CKNX. Coming up right after this, Holdyn, I'm going to chat with our friend Albert Vartanian, who is a big NFL guy, working for Homestand Sports and our friends over at the Parlay. You got your Patriots hat on. Big supporter of that. I'm a Pats fan, diehard fan since '98. I was an OG. Okay, I was a Bledsoe guy. Okay, I'm talking pre-Brady. Bledsoe was my guy. All right, and I love that you're a Pats fan. I love it. You're a winner, and the Pats are winners. What do you think of our chances this year?
Division's looking tough. Aaron Rodgers going down. You'd hate to see that, but that's a treat for the Pats, obviously. I don't know. Everyone's writing us off. I think we're going to be tough to play against. It's kind of nice watching Pats games, a little less stressful this year. Doesn't really matter if they win or lose. If they are above 500, that's a heck of a year. So it's a lot of stress, all those Super Bowls the last few years, right? So
I kind of agree. I've said to people that are surprised when I say that, I've actually had more fun watching Patriots football the last couple of years than I did the last 5 of, when Brady was around, because it's just that stress. Like, come on, let's get one more. And we did. We did get more than one more. We're very spoiled. But I like Mac Jones. I believe in him. I think we can steal a wild card spot, especially after watching what the Bills did against those Jets. I think we can get a wild card spot, my friend. Hey, I really appreciate you coming on. I'm so thrilled that you're going to be back with the Listowel Cyclones. It's a real homecoming story, and I think it's a great one. I can't wait to see you at the rink all year, my friend. Thanks for doing this.
Cheers, fellas. Thanks for having me on, and go Pats.
Go Pats. I love it. Speaking of that, like I said, our buddy Albert Vartanian of Homestand Sports and the Homestand Sports podcast next to chat about the NFL here on Instigating. Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Drury, brought to you by our friends at Conway Furniture, Larry Hudson, Chevrolet Buick GMC here in Listowel, and of course the Listowel Squash Courts. Ryan Drury back here to welcome on a very special guest, a guy that I have history with, 2 alumnus of the Fight Network. Very excited to welcome on my friend from the Parlay and Homestand Sports, Albert Vartanian. Albert, how are you, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, man. It's been a long time, but it's nice to reconnect.
It's been a minute. Yeah. We're talking near a decade here, but look at us. Here we are to chat some NFL
Look at
football.
us. Hey, who would have thought? Hey, Ryan, look at us.
Look at us. It's fun, man. And hey, look at some of these football teams where, we wanted to try and get you on before the season started. We've got you on, and it's almost better that we've got you on after week 1, because we all know Overreaction Monday. It should be a national holiday, I feel like. Man, there's some overreactions going on and some gnarly storylines too. I want to start by talking about that Thursday nighter. And there's been a lot of hype this offseason about 2 teams, I think, where people are saying, man, these teams could really make playoff pushes. And that was the New York Jets, who we'll touch on in a minute, and the Detroit Lions. And look at those Lions. Despite some, mistake-ridden football in Kansas City, they go in there and knock off the Super Bowl champs. After seeing that performance, Albert, are you buying the Lions?
I'm on the fence still. I never bought into the Lions. I think they can make a wild card. But based on what I saw against Kansas City, listen, their defense looks good. Offense looks electric, or can be electric. But I feel like the Kansas City Chiefs gave that game away, specifically Kadarius Toney. You drop passes like that. That's a big problem. There's only so much Mahomes can possibly do with no Kelsey on the field. But listen, you play the team in front of you, and whatever happens, happens, and they picked up the win. Can the Lions go on a run now and make a push for the division? I think so, but I'm not completely sold in the Lions that they can, win a Super Bowl. But can they make a wild card and make a serious push for the division? Absolutely.
That division is maybe the most interesting one to watch for me this year, because there's so many unknowns. I think a lot of people would point and say the Vikings are the most dangerous team, but that's more on the offensive side of the ball, and you still don't really know what you're going to get at old cousin Kirk. You don't know what you're going to get with him, and he threw a couple bad picks. But defensively, the Vikings can't stop a nosebleed. Then you got the Lions, who are kind of on the rise and can play good defense, but can Goff be consistent enough? You get the Packers with no Aaron Rodgers. and Jordan Love looking electric in his first game as the starter. And then you got the Bears who, well, what can we say about the Bears? They're the Bears. It's such a weird division, and I don't know. It's such a coin flip to me. I guess I like the Packers more than I did 2 weeks ago, but I think the Lions could make a push at that division.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying they can make a push, because it's so up in the air. If you were to power rank that division right now, probably have the Lions just up, just above the Green Bay Packers, then the Vikings and the Bears. You can't trust the Vikings, especially I think they're in prime time this week on Thursday. Can't trust Kirk Cousins in prime time. The team does not look great. The Bears, I had high expectations for the Bears, specifically Justin Fields, because, okay, they got DJ Moore now. He can still throw. He can still run. He's got all the attributes to be a really good quarterback. And I still think that, but the defense isn't great. The offense isn't great. The play calling isn't great. Minnesota is going to get to probably 10 wins. Can the Bears get there? I don't think so. Can the Lions? Probably. Can the Packers? Based on what we saw from Jordan Love, yes. So I think it's wide open, but 1 and 2 has to be the Lions and the Packers right now.
I agree. The thing with the Pack is they can play defense, and if Love can play at 80% of what we saw in week 1, they have an outside shot, where a lot of people didn't give them that credit after Mr. Rodgers left. And let's touch on that. I mean, it's the biggest story in North American sports right now. Oh my God, Albert. Like, can you imagine a more gutting, horrific, ground zero bad situation than what we saw happen to poor Aaron Rodgers on Monday night?
Man, I feel for Jets fans. If you're trying to rank most tortured franchises in North America, they might have to be at the top of the list. I was watching that game at the bar, and I was hyped when I saw the crowd. It's 9/11. They're going to do a ceremony. The guy grabs the American flag. They turn off the lights. He's running down the field like he's Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania. I'm like, this is legit. I'm hyped for it. It was the biggest storyline, like you said, coming into this season. And then, 4 plays in, 4 minutes in, boom, that happens. In comes Zach Wilson. The whole crowd is deflated. It's the Bills game. We should probably talk about the Bills, which I'm sure we will. But it was devastating. I think it was devastating not only to the Jets, more so the Jets fans, but I think to anybody who actually just enjoys watching football and loves football, because what a story that is. You saw, even without Rodgers there, the talent that they have offensively. Garrett Wilson making that spectacular catch. I thought Alan Lazard looked pretty good. That defense is unbelievable. And the defense alone, I think, can potentially make them push for a wild card. They got to figure out the quarterback situation, but they have all the pieces there to be a really good team. It's now they got to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback, but just an unfortunate way to start the season.
Yeah, it's really tough. And we all wanted to see what Rodgers could do, changing. Could he do the Brady thing? Could he go to a different team and lift them to the promised land? And 4 snaps in, we have our answer. It's really unfortunate. I would equate it to watching my guy Tom Brady get hurt on the first play in 2008. Remember, Matt Castle had to take over. Brady's knee was gone, the only injury he ever really suffered, and he was out for the year. It's just such a gutting feeling when you have those hopes and it all goes away in one play, Albert.
A lot of phone calls want to be made to Tom Brady. Fans are calling, Brady, come play for the New York Jets. Apparently,
I'll be sick.
Those rumors have been shot down. I never thought it was going to happen. Listen, would he want to come back? Would he be intrigued? Absolutely. How could he not be? But, you're playing in the same division as the Patriots. Does he really want to play against the Patriots? He was just there. He was trying to get the crowd going at halftime. Couldn't do it with the Pats. But I just wonder what they're going to do. I know Salah's saying Zach Wilson's our guy. And I feel like I saw his nose grow about 20 inches when he said that. There's no way that he's happy with Zach Wilson being their guy, even being under the apprenticeship of Aaron Rodgers. You got to go out and get somebody else. That's just what needs to be done. Who that guy is, who knows? But I think phone calls need to be made immediately, because this team, I think, is good enough with a decent quarterback. They don't have to find an Aaron Rodgers. You can use like a Jacoby Brissett, a Cooper Rush even, who's third string now on the Dallas Cowboys. Someone who could protect the ball, manage the game, give it to the backfield. Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook look good, and I think you're going to win more games than you lose.
Yeah, absolutely. Breece Hall, I mean, you talk about him. He looked Plenty healthy, and my fantasy team was happy about that. So, I think that they're a threat if they can find somebody. No disrespect to Zach Wilson, but I think that they're going to be looking around and maybe try and find themselves a Brock Purdy type, and we'll talk about him in a minute too, but you referenced the Bills, the team that inexplicably, I mean, yes, we're singing the praise of that New York defense, which looks super legit. Sauce Gardner, all those guys, they're amazing. The Bills, they are as perplexing a team as I can find in maybe North American sports, let alone this league, Albert. I love Josh Allen. I love his skill set. I love what he brings, but we saw him do things that have held him and, in my opinion, his team back the last couple of years. He could be accused at times of playing hero ball and trying to do way too much himself. What did you see out of him after a 3-interception, 1 fumble performance against that Jets defense?
I saw a guy who can be elite be completely careless with the ball. I mean, 4 turnovers, fumbled a snap. You mentioned it, 3 interceptions, 84 turnovers since he's been drafted. His last 19 games, he has 27 turnovers. You go back to last season, 7 turnovers in the red zone. How can somebody that good, and we know he can be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, be so reckless with the football? I think the Buffalo Bills will be just fine. I really do. I like their defense. I think, Josh Allen and Diggs, they're going to be connecting for touchdowns throughout the entire season. They just got to hope that that game doesn't come where Diggs decides to blow up and just go after Allen, go after the coach. And you already saw a little bit of it in that Jets game, right? With McDermott and Diggs, they weren't happy with Allen, and rightfully so. But it's very strange to see somebody who I think could lead the Bills to a Super Bowl be so reckless with the football, especially in a game like that. What were they up, 13-3? You can't give that game away when Rodgers goes down. So I have concerns about Allen, but overall, that team is really good, and I think they're going to be just fine, honestly.
I do too in the long term, but right now, clearly there's still some ironing out to do with the way he plays in certain situations. And the Diggs thing is interesting to me because one of those picks, you saw him force it downfield to him when he had 2 guys open on underneath routes, and he tried to force it downfield 50 yards in double coverage and threw one of his picks. And the dynamic between those 2 guys is going to be interesting because, for a team to succeed and win the championship, everybody has to, yes, perform at their highest level, but sacrifice a little bit too. Like Diggs might have to settle with 7 or 8 targets in certain games, like against the Jets defense, and, eat it up against lesser teams. Josh Allen, to me right now, as far as I'm concerned, and I mean this in the nicest way I possibly can, Albert, and I'd love your reaction. For me right now, he's a fraud. Like, he can't win the big game. Name me one time where he has come out on top in the biggest situations. Kansas City overtime. Again, excuses there. Oh, well, we didn't get to touch the ball. You knew the rules, and you let Kansas City score with 7 seconds left. Another time in the playoffs where he came up short. This Jets game, Cincy. Until you're not, like, he's a bit of a fraud to me. I love the kid. I think he can play the position in an exciting way, but exciting doesn't always get it done when it's crunch time, does it, Albert?
No, it's so strange. Like, the talent is there. Like, he's got the size, he's got everything, but he just, a lot of people have been talking about his football IQ. Maybe it's just that's one of the things that he lacks. And unfortunately, what makes an elite quarterback and some of the best quarterbacks ever play in the NFL, I would say football IQ is probably at the top of the list, and he just doesn't have that at the moment. And, you want to talk about the clutch gene. I know that's so cliche. Maybe he doesn't have it. I mean, like you said, you are what you are. We see what we see. And as of right now, Josh Allen isn't that guy.
Well, we're seeing what we see with Brock Purdy, who people continue to disrespectfully call Mr. Irrelevant. This guy's as relevant as it gets. I mean, there were questions after the Tommy John situation last year. So gutting to lose him in the way they did going into the playoffs. And then he comes in this year after reportedly having a bit of a bad camp. Like, there were reports out of San Francisco that he looked off, wasn't connecting well with his offense. I didn't see any evidence of that in Pittsburgh. And for that kid to go into Steelers Nation in front of that fan base and put up the performance that he did. No, he didn't do anything spectacular, but he was rock solid, did not turn the ball over. This kid's the real deal, Albert.
I think so too. And listen, he's got the weapons to help him too. I mean, that 49ers team, I mean, I power ranked after week one. They're at the top of the list. On defense, you got Nick Bosa. You have CMC, who looked spectacular. Ayuk looked great. You got Deebo Samuel. And then you got Brock Purdy, who's really comfortable with the ball. He protects the ball. He can make the easy pass. He can run a little bit too. He's never lost in the regular season. I mean, he's everything you can possibly want from a quarterback. And I was so skeptical for so long because I'm like, he's Mr. Irrelevant. How can the 49ers be right and everybody else in the NFL be wrong about this guy? But listen, sometimes you get lucky. And that's what happened with the 49ers, to the point where like they even felt so comfortable that they didn't want to deal with that Trey Lance experience. We got Brock Purdy. We're going to back him. We don't care about his elbow. We believe in him. We're going to send Trey Lance to the Cowboys, and we're going to just be the team that we want to be. As of right now, sitting today, the 49ers by far are the best team in football. And that's not just because of those other weapons. It's because of him.
Dude, you talk about the luck with them, too, when they traded up to get Trey Lance and lost out on picking guys like Jalen Waddle, who, of course, we run down the weapons. They don't really need him. But, talk about luck turning around. He doesn't turn out. Injury problems, yes. But then they have this kid fall into their lap. It all ends up working out for Mr. Shanahan. But Trey Lance, you bring him up. What an odd way to start a career. Like, what do you see for this guy over in Dallas now? Like, do you foresee him ever being able to recover enough to become a starter for somebody?
Well, I'm assuming that's what Jerry Jones believes in. Why else would he bring him there? He wants to put a bit of pressure on Dak Prescott. You obviously, Jerry Jones doesn't have a lot of time left. I think, being, running that Dallas organization, Dak Prescott has shown that he's not the guy. We talk about Josh Allen. I think Prescott is right in the same category as Josh Allen. So I think someone believes in him, and that's Jerry Jones. Can he become an elite quarterback, or at least a number one guy in the NFL? I really don't have the answer to that question. We really haven't seen enough of him. He had that injury last season. You're waiting for something to really stand out from his performances, and I've seen nothing so far. But like I said, Jones believes in him, I think, unless he's just putting pressure on Dak Prescott. So I think it's a wait and see with Trey Lance.
Absolutely. Well, it's sort of a wait and see as well, just in terms of health, with a guy who popped off in week one and probably silenced some doubters, and that was Tua Tagovailoa going off. He threw the fourth most yards ever on opening day, 466, 215 of those to Tyreek, who remains the most electric receiver in the league, 4 TDs. I mean, if this guy can stay healthy, because we all, God forbid, I don't want to see this guy even bump into a street lamp. This guy's head, we don't want to see him get hit. If he stays healthy, Albert, does he make a run at MVP this year?
100%. Yeah, he's definitely in the conversation right now. Listen, coming out of that Monday night game between the Jets and the Bills, I would say the biggest winners that night were probably the Miami Dolphins, because you got to see the Jets, good team, yes, they just lost Aaron Rodgers. They're going to be in trouble. You look at the Bills. Are you really worried about the Bills after that performance if you're Miami? Probably not. The Patriots, they look okay. Are they going to make a run for that division? Sorry, Ryan, but they're not. I love the Patriots.
No.
I had the +4. I got screwed. That 2-point conversion should have counted, but that's a whole other conversation.
I know.
But listen, I believe in Tua. That the health thing is definitely an issue. He didn't get touched in that first game. If that O-line can protect him and he can be a bit smarter with the ball and not get crushed, they're going to have a great chance. Listen, he's throwing to Tyreek Hill in double and triple coverage and finding him the ball. Tyreek Hill says he wants to go for 2,000. After that performance, no one's going to doubt that he can do that. Then you have Jalen Waddle there whenever you want to go to somebody else. I think the Dolphins have everything possible to win that division. Super Bowl, maybe. I'm going to go division. And Tua, listen, that jiu-jitsu and judo seems to be paying off, at least after 1 week. So I have to believe in him. And I think behind Mahomes, I'd probably go Tua MVP.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, the performance he put forward was unbelievable. I love a southpaw too, a fellow lefty just slinging it out there. He's so much fun to watch. I really don't want him to get hit. My Patriots, I want to ask you, after watching Mac, last year was frustrating. It was frustrating. There were 15 different people calling offensive plays. It was a mess. Matt Patricia out there, the pencil in the air. He just couldn't get it right. Bill O'Brien comes back, one of the best offensive coordinators of all time. And it seemed like he had, instant chemistry. Mac looked really, really good. That defense is still really, really good, led by Matt Judon. Can my Pats sneak into the wild card? What kind of percentage? Give me a percentage here.
I'm going to go 50%. I'll go 50% because
I'll take it.
And because of that defense, I think they're going to win a lot of rock fights. At least they'll be in a lot of them anyway. Like when they meet the Jets, I think in a couple of weeks, that's a game I think they can win like a 9-6. I think they're going to battle teams out. And listen, Mac Jones, I don't know if he has the full trust of Belichick. Maybe you follow the team closer than I do. I don't feel like that's the case. And who knows what you have in Ezekiel Elliott. You're going to lean on that defense most of the time. So it's going to be difficult, but I'd have to give him a 50% chance. I believe in Belichick. I still believe in him. But even if they do, Ryan, get to that wild card, the expectations won't be high.
No, I agree. I think they trust Mac just given that he had a great rookie season. He had one of the best rookie seasons ever. And through his first 2 years, he actually has the second highest completion percentage in NFL history, which is impressive. Yeah. But the lack of offense there last year, the lack of touchdowns, and all of a sudden under Bill O'Brien, Kendrick Bourne shows up. Hunter Henry looked revived. Ramondre Stevenson, I like the options here. We'll see what Juju can bring. He had a pretty quiet Patriots debut, but a good veteran guy for those dudes to lean on. I want to ask you, sitting here after week 1, and it's always a bit of a ridiculous question, but we're NFL prognosticators. We got to ask, who's in the Super Bowl? I like Niners, Dolphins. I like Niners, Dolphins, and I think the Niners can win it this year.
I'll go Niners. I'll meet you with the Niners. God, the other side. I really like the Jets. I can't believe I'm even saying that, but obviously that's not the case anymore.
I like that.
I would have said Bengals pre-week 1, Ryan, but after that 3-week performance, I can't say the Bengals. I don't think the Ravens even looked that great. I thought Lamar Jackson looked a little bit rusty. I'm sure he'll get a bit better. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say the Jacksonville Jaguars. As crazy as that.
I like it.
I'm going to go with the Jaguars. That. They could win the division. They're going to get that bye. I love Trevor Lawrence. So just to be a bit contrarian, I'll probably go Jaguars, but 49ers, Dolphins, if Tua stays healthy, seems to be maybe a closest thing to a lock after week 1. After week 1. Talk to me again after week 2, and then it'll probably be a different answer.
Albert, I love it. I think that's a great call. I haven't heard anybody, even on all the networks, say the Jaguars, and I love that you're giving them some respect because I think they're flying under the radar here. Trevor Lawrence took a huge step forward last year. He's got some great weapons down there too, and their defense is underrated as well. I wouldn't be shocked at all if we saw them creep through, which would be nice. It would be a cool story for the NFL.
And Ryan, sorry to cut you off, but not a bad schedule either. I know they faced the Chiefs, who I think they can win that game. Then they got Houston and Atlanta and Buffalo, both in London. So they're going to be there October 1st against Atlanta, and then Buffalo's going to meet them there. They're going to be adjusted to the time zone already. I think that's a win. Indy, New Orleans, Pittsburgh. Okay, they meet San Francisco after the bye, but Tennessee, Houston, Cincy, Cleveland, not the worst schedule. I think they have one of the easier schedules this year. So listen, I think the Jaguars can do some damage. I'm trying to make the case for the team I already picked, but I like the Jaguars a lot.
I do too. Final one for you. You bring up Indy and Houston, and I want to ask you, the story this year, as it always seems to be, the young new quarterbacks coming in. We've got the first overall pick over in Carolina. I thought Anthony Richardson looked pretty good despite a loss to those Jaguars. Stroud struggled for sure. What's your opinion on the young quarterbacks, the first-year guys, and who do you think could potentially lead their team to a surprise playoff spot?
Oh, that's a really tough question. They all lost. They all lost in week 1.
I know.
Anthony Richardson, I probably have to agree with you. I like the look of that. He just seems it's weird. He's a rookie, but he has this veteran presence about him. Am I off the mark by saying that? I
don't think so.
When I see him play, he looks great. So I'd probably have to say Anthony Richardson, but I'm never, ever big on rookie quarterbacks coming into a season. I don't believe in, putting that pressure behind them, because you still got to learn how to play at the pro level. You got to come up to the speed. You're usually playing with a team that doesn't have weapons, that have no expectations of making a playoff. But if there's one I had to pick, probably Richardson, because of that. He just has this aura around him when he plays, like he's been there before. So I feel like he'd adapt quicker than any of those other quarterbacks.
I agree. It's going to be an interesting season. We're definitely going to have to check in with you maybe at the halfway mark, and of course the playoffs for some predictions here. Albert, you're one of the best. Where can people find you on social media and see your content, my friend?
Yeah, you can follow me at Albert Vartanian on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. Same thing on Instagram. I host a Homestand Sport podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can get that wherever you get your podcasts. Also on Room 442 as well, doing some footy with James Sharman. So come check that out.
Yes, I love Room 442. I've seen it before. I love Sharms. He actually ignited my love of soccer when I was a little kid, back in the score days. Yeah. So I'll definitely continue paying attention. We got to have you on, talk about some soccer at some point too.
We'd love to, man. Anytime.
Absolutely. Albert, thanks for doing this, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan. Good seeing you again, buddy.
Back to wrap things up on a very exciting edition here of Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. Look who it is. It's Clarkey. There
Dude,
he is.
I have never had this much trouble with computer. And
Just let me carry the mail.
I'm sorry that I had to, lean on you today.
Listen.
Twice my computer just shut right down. And
we don't
it's
care.
Unfortunate, but look at this. Look at this swag we got. Conway
That's
Furniture.
What we care about.
We are so good. And now we have a new segment.
Yes.
To talk about.
And you, I won't do this to you because it's technical issues, but you could have been my couch potato of the week, brought to you by our friends at Conway Furniture, East End of Listowel, Highway 86. They are super easy to find. Hold on here. Okay, I'm not done talking about our great friends over at Conway. You got to go see Mitch and our friends, the great staff over at Conway. Monday through Saturday, they are open. And man, you want to talk about upgrading? You want to make your home look fresh like Clarkey and I look right now? Hey, you go see our friends over at Conway Furniture. And you know what one of the best parts about our friends over there is? The prices you see in there, they include HST and delivery. They'll deliver it, and what you see is what you get. No fooling around with our friends over at Conway. And our new segment, Couch Potato of the Week.
Yes.
Okay. Now,
let's explain what this, because I think we might have differing opinions about what the couch potato might ultimately be. And I think that's okay.
Yes, we can define it differently, if you will. But my understanding has always been that it was going to be picking someone from the sports world that had a bit of a lazy performance and could have put forth a bit of a better effort.
See, I'm thinking more along the lines of a guy who will be sitting on his couch, the couch potato. It doesn't matter how we got there, Ryan. It doesn't matter how we got there.
I don't like where you're going.
Well, we had this conversation earlier this week.
Go ahead. Take us through your inaugural pick for Couch Potato of the Week.
Okay, so as I mentioned, we did have a conversation earlier this week about the couch potato of the week.
I'm going to reprimand you for this.
And if Adam could roll in the viz here. We saw something happen earlier this week. That was very unfortunate, but I'm not going to use it because you talked me out of using Aaron Rodgers. Aaron went down. Very unfortunate that he is now out. He may be out for the rest of the season.
He is out for the rest of the season.
His
career's in jeopedy.
And I'm sure you talked about it earlier.
This.
So we won't use this, but it was close.
It's gutless you even rolled this, Clarkey. You are so gutless.
It was close. Anyway, my real couch potato of the week is a guy who we're both familiar with. And he's going to be sitting back on his couch and enjoying the rest of the regular season in baseball, gearing up for the playoffs.
Uh-huh.
Because this Canadian general manager has just won another division title. And Alex Anthopoulos is going to the playoffs again. Since 2015, he's gone to the playoffs. And while we look at Alex Anthopoulos, who's going to be sitting on his couch, watching the rest of the regular season, and then get geared up for the playoffs, our buddy Ross Atkins here with the Blue Jays hasn't won a playoff game since he came
8 years.
Hasn't won a game. But look at those Braves. Like, how could this team let a guy go like Anthopoulos? I don't understand it. It's such, I don't understand it. But Alex is my couch potato because he's earned it. He's earned to sit back in his couch and enjoy the rest of the regular season. And we'll go from there.
Okay, so I like this is a difference of mentality here, and that's a good thing. It brings some flavor to the segment.
And sometimes I might go for the lazy guy. I might.
Right.
This week,
you're taking a positive approach to the couch potato. And
because I didn't take Aaron Rodgers. I didn't take him.
Stop saying his name. It makes me sick that you even considered that, because it's not a nice thing to do.
Where is he going to be for the next 6 months?
Listen, if Austin Matthews blows his Achilles out,
where's he going to be for the next 6 months? Sitting on the couch.
You would not want me to make him the couch potato. Be honest with yourself.
Go on with yours. Right? That's not going to happen to my guy, Austin.
Well, I have, like I told you, based on what you said, I was going to either go the Jays route, which you kind of sort of did, in a backwards way, in a reclining way, if you will, right? In a reclining way. Couch potato. I need to offer some context to your couch potato, because Alex Anthopoulos just won his 6th straight division title with those aforementioned Braves. Let me say that again. 6th straight division title. Yeah. They are absolutely the favorite to win the World Series.
Right?
Yes.
Before he left, before he got fired.
They've already won a World Series there. He signed Ronald Acuna Jr. to arguably the most team-friendly deal in North American sports. He is 4 home runs as we record this show right now. This is Thursday, September 14th. He is 4 home runs away from becoming the first ever 40-40 player in MLB history. 40 home runs, 40 stolen bags. He's already the first 30-30 guy. 10 years, $100 million. Ronald Acuna Jr. makes $10 million. If he was a free agent tomorrow, he'd make 40. And Alex Anthopoulos signed him. Now, and he should absolutely boot his agent into a couch. Let me tell you that. Now, that's neither here nor there. Look what else he's done. Freddie Freeman, not wanting to re-sign Atlanta. I want more money. Deals him to Los Angeles. Or sorry, lets him walk to Los Angeles as a free agent. What's Anthopoulos do? He turns around to the moribund Oakland A's and picks up Matt Olson, who's leading in home runs and is absolutely a shoe-in alongside his teammate, Mr. Acuna, for MVP. If either one of them won it, no one would complain. Makes me sick what's going on with the Blue Jays. Let's talk a bit about them as we record this tonight. They're in danger of getting swept in a 4-game series against a team that has been playing brutal baseball for a month. The Texas Rangers are a joke, but that doesn't matter when they come to the Rodgers Center, because the bigger joke is the Blue Jays. Blue Jays record at home since August 1st against teams with a winning record. 3 wins, 8 losses, a run differential of -33. They're losing to the Rangers in the first 3 games, 26-7 collectively. Home run differential, -7. A team ERA of 5.55, a batting average of 195, and this is the grossest one of all. A team slugging percentage, even with Davis Babe Schneider's historic run, of 299. I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore. Enough's enough. People need fired. This from our friend Rob Longley of the Toronto Sun, the Blue Jays beat reporter. This from his article after the 10-0 debacle on Wednesday. The "we'll get him next time" refrain has been the anthem of the 2023 season. It's getting more off key by the day, especially after losing by a total of 26-7 through the first 3 of a 4-game series. Baseball is tough, manager John Schneider said. You just want guys to be who they are. I think there's been some ebbs and flows with individuals. There's been ebbs and flows with the team. Our friend Rob Longley goes on to say, this still might be a playoff team, but right now it's hard to buy in on that. The Jays have 3 fewer wins than last year's team did through 146 games. Is it frustrating? No, Schneider said. We know the character and talent that's in our clubhouse. We trust that. As tough as the last couple games have been, you really just have to focus on tomorrow. It's not concerning. If the season was over tomorrow, then it would be concerning. It's not the way we wanted the series to go so far.
There's one thing about being positive. There's another thing about
being
going
blind
overboard and just like, come on, like
living in denial.
Mm-hmm.
Living in denial. I think John Schneider, I can almost guarantee, is a good person. I bet he's a great guy. I am saying this with utmost conviction. So pay attention. I don't care if they do make the playoffs. They have shown us all year, like John says, who they are. What they are is a team with elite pitching and double-A hitting at best. At best. And John Schneider, despite probably being a good dude outside the confines of the Rodgers Center, is not a major league manager. Ross Atkins is not a major league general manager.
Well, that's for sure.
And Mark Shapiro, if he wants to keep his job, needs to fire them both. And to be frank, they should have both been fired after the 10-0 dusting on Wednesday. I heard Brian Hayes on Overdrive say that's the second worst loss of the Atkins-Shapiro tenure, next to being up 8-1 against Seattle last year and losing. And I agree. And I think it's worse. I think it's worse. I'm done. The experiment is over. These guys, you want to talk about who you are, John?
What experiment?
You are failures. You're failures.
Yeah.
That's what you are. Now,
I think, like, unfortunately, here's just one little addition to this.
Please.
Shapiro should go too. And if I hear anyone else tell me he can't go because he's in charge of the renovations at the Skydome, give me a break.
The architects are. The architects are in charge of the renovation.
This guy's not. If that's what he's in charge with, no wonder the team's playing the way they are.
By the way,
give me a break. These guys should just like. Oh, it makes me so frustrated.
I'm glad you brought that up, Clarkey, because our friend Rob Longley referenced in his story that because of those renovations, guess what? Ticket prices are going to go up next year to watch these bums fail.
Yeah, of course they are.
I can't even do this anymore. I got to move on.
The whole front office should be gone, in my mind.
I'm not going to argue with you
all
anymore.
I've seen on Facebook for the last week from the Blue Jays Facebook page is, well, what did they call it? They called it, I'm drawing a blank.
Listen, I know. I'll tell you exactly
something about how big this series was and how it's go time and so on and so forth with the Blue Jays. Well, the team didn't see the memo.
Going where?
Right? The team
not
didn't
October
see the memo.
baseball. Not October baseball. Now, despite my crazed rant, I still haven't given my couch potato of the week, courtesy of our friends at Conway Furniture. My couch potato of the week is Jarmo Kekalainen and the Columbus Blue Jackets. This photo story with Mike Babcock and the fluff pieces that were done about him in the offseason. By the way, the reporters, some of whom I respect, that wrote those fluff pieces about Mike Babcock can be included in this. I don't care what level this is, whether something nefarious went on or not. Hiring Mike Babcock will cost Jarmo Kekalainen his job. And that's why he's my couch potato. Laziness to just bring in some guy who, yes, has won some stuff. But let me tell you what, this guy, this whole phone debacle, if you don't know what we're talking about, Google it. The whole Spit and Chicklets thing, Paul Bissonnette brought it forward of Babcock allegedly forcing guys to show him photos and allegedly showed them to other people. Just not absolute crazy story, which the Jackets came out and denied, and the captain Boo Jenner said so too. As we record this show,
I didn't think they really denied it.
Marty Walsh, the director of the NHLPA, and Ron Hainsey, his right-hand man, are down there investigating this. Now, if this was basically any other coach, people might go, oh, that's a bit of a weird practice, but okay. But it's Mike Babcock.
If it was any other coach, it probably would never have got out either.
Exactly. And after if Bruce Boudreau did this, people would go, that's kind of wonky, Brucey. It's Bruce Boudreau, but it's Mike Babcock. And after the fiasco with Marner,
right? You think he would have learned, right?
Yeah, nope, can't do it because I'm Mike Babcock and I'm bigger than the game. And this follows stories of, listen, we've seen these guys that go home for summer in Europe and have quotes mistranslated and stuff. A few years ago, after Henrik Zetterberg retired, he was talking to a paper back in Sweden, and he said, and I quote, by the way, someone from Detroit reached out to him to ask him to clarify, and he said, no, that's what I said. He said, we won the 2008 Stanley Cup in spite of Mike Babcock. And let's go back to that time too, where Mike Babcock mentally eviscerated and broke down Johan Franzen like it was his job. And Zetterberg in this interview came to Franzen's defense. A former player said, and Clarkey, you know hockey players, they're generally pretty vanilla. Yeah, it didn't work out. This guy's a bad guy, whatever. A former player said, Mike Babcock made it his job to mentally erode Johan Franzen's humanity. That's what he said, this player who wasn't identified, by the way.
Well,
I don't have time for this. The Columbus Blue Jackets organization and old Babs are my couch potato of the week. Our inaugural
That's a good one.
Potatoes.
That's a good one. And Ryan, also, I just want to add,
please,
Frankie Corrado, on TSN this week, was speaking very much about this Babcock situation. Said how much of a bad person he thinks he is. Says he doesn't care about anything except Mike Babcock. I almost wonder at the back of my mind if this guy just wants to retire and get fired. And just sit back. He collected a lot of money from the Leafs, doing nothing, and now he could do the same thing again. Clarkey, I don't know.
How often do you hear hockey people say stuff like this about a guy?
Never. No, this guy's a bad person from everything that we see in here.
Bad dude.
Even the ushers in Detroit said it when he left.
There was a story where when
good luck to the Blue Jackets. Good luck.
Yeah,
good luck,
there was a story quickly when he was in Detroit where a player on the opposing team who was a career minor leaguer, he was about 28, 29 years old, got called up to play in his first NHL game. And he was in the hallway in Detroit looking out at the ice, getting his equipment ready. And Babcock walked up to him and said, pretty cool, right? And the player was like, yeah, it's great. It's a dream come true to play in the NHL. And Babcock said to him, well, don't get used to it because this is the last game you're ever going to play.
He sat Jason Spezza in his return to Ottawa.
Mike Modano?
Yeah.
Mike Modano could have hit 1,500 games. The guy's a grease bag. You know who isn't? And you know what? I took the negative approach. with the couch potato. But you know what? Being a couch potato is not a bad thing when you visit our friends at Conway Furniture at the east end of Listowel on Highway 86. It's NFL season. You know what I'm going to be doing on Sunday? Riding the couch. And look, you need a new couch, okay? You need a new couch. Look at it. There's chip crumbs in there.
Hey,
there's old coins from 1945.
What about a lazy boy? They got
if you're not a couch guy
right now, real leather, $13.99 all in. And also one for Granny. They have one $8.99. Little smaller, but a little smaller one, $8.99. Fabric,
and that includes
a fabric
HST
recliner.
and delivery.
Yeah, $8.99 all in. That's right. Granny can watch the game with her feet up. There you go.
Absolutely, and you can do the same with our friends at Conway Furniture. We love having them on board here on Instigating. Speaking of people we love,
and you know what? Too though, the Leafs are about to start another season. This is the next season that we're always talking about. There's always next season, next year. This is the one. I'm quite convinced that next year at this time, my Argo ring will be a Leaf ring, and we'll have a Stanley Cup ring. And we're going to take my new little car that we won't talk about right now, but to the parade on Yonge Street. We're going to try to get in the parade somehow. But
listen.
Speaking of cars,
yes,
we have some
Tell us.
X's. They're rolling in.
Where can you get them?
2024s at Larry Hudson's, 1000 Wallace Avenue in Listowel. And
hot deals.
They are such a nice car, Ryan. They're all refreshed for 2024, and they are really rolling. And you know what? The cool thing is lots of neat colors as well. You see the blue one there, but lots of neat colors this year. A crimson one. And anyway, it's all available. I'm sorry, I'm struggling. I can't call it a summer cold.
Well, let me take you over the line.
So you can take us over the line, please, because I'm struggling.
Let me take you over the line.
I'm struggling.
Our friends at Larry Hudson's, and we know this, the deals are hot at Larry Hudson's.
That's right.
We know this.
Hudson's has it.
And even though it's fall, it's autumn time, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. The deals are hot at Larry Hudson's. Go see them, our friends down there. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks to our friends Holdyn Lansink of the Listowel Cyclones, Albert Vartanian of the Homestand Sports podcast. Follow him on Twitter. Follow our great friends over there at Homestand. Remember, visit our friends at Conway Furniture. If you need some new furniture, new kickback for the NFL season, go see them, our friends at Larry Hudson's, and our great friends over at the Listowel Squash Courts. You can watch this show every Friday night at 8, Sunday night at 9 with our friends on Whiteman TV. That's channel 6 for Whiteman subscribers. We debut on our YouTube channel Friday nights at 9. You can follow us on Instagram at Instigating Pod and on Twitter as well. And you can find the podcast on all the best podcast apps, because that's what we do here. We're the best. We got the best sponsors. We got the best viewers. We got the best listeners, ladies and gentlemen. Clarkey?
Yes.
Good one. Couch potatoes. Let's do it. All right. We'll be back next week with more.
Go Jays, go. Take TFC with you.